Hey everyone, and welcome back. So it's time to take a look at the new Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 games coming out for this week. And I've got to say, we've got a pretty packed week, with, at least for me, one of my most anticipated releases for Nintendo Switch 2, the upgrade pack to an existing game, however adding in some new content. However, the definite crown of the week is actually hitting the Nintendo Switch 1, but will be fully playable on the Nintendo Switch 2, and it's a game that is a revival of one of my favorite retro series. So don't forget, as we jump into the new Switch games for this week, help support the channel, hit that like button, and subscribe if you aren't already. So let's start with the Nintendo Switch 2 releases for this week, and we have a couple coming out, the first one being Story of Seasons Grand Bazaar, that's actually a cross-generation release, meaning there's also a Nintendo Switch 1 version. It is releasing on August 27th, and the Nintendo Switch 2 version will be selling for $59.99, while the Nintendo Switch 1 version will be selling for $49.99. Now, the game describes itself as bringing the winds of change to Zephyr Town, where you need to build your farm and breathe new life into the once famous bazaar. You'll set up your stall to sell produce and goods from the crops and animals you raise on your farm, and meet charming townsfolk to befriend and romance as you help the close-knit community thrive. Now, this is one of the longest-running farming/life sim franchises out there, and after a couple of lackluster releases, initial reviews for this one are actually pointing to a return to form. The only problem is the Nintendo Switch and Switch 2 are currently flooded with this genre of gaming. However, if you're a longtime fan of the series, or you just can't get enough of the genre, this one seems to be a very solid entry. And also, once again, initial reviews also point to it running very well either on Nintendo Switch 1 or Nintendo Switch 2. Our second Nintendo Switch 2 release is going to be Kirby and the Forgotten Land plus the Star-Crossed World that will be selling for $79.99 and releasing on August 28th. However, if you already own the Nintendo Switch 1 version of the game, there is the possibility to simply buy an upgrade for $19.99. Now, if you aren't aware, this game is a 3D action platformer featuring Kirby, and it is actually one of the best entries in the series in quite a few years. I played this game on stream on the Nintendo Switch 1, and I can easily recommend the base game. It is very high quality and very fun. But the Nintendo Switch 2 version is promising faster frame rates and higher resolution. Also, an additional story in which Kirby must use his amazing abilities, including some all-new mouthful modes, to clear a trail through uncharted territory after the world is struck by a powerful meteor. The Nintendo Switch 2 version will also offer a co-op mode, where a friend can play as the spear-wielding Bandana Waddle Dee. Personally, I would have rather liked to see the upgrade pack at that $10 mark and the base game at the $70 mark. But nonetheless, it's a very high-quality game, and if you're into Kirby, this one's going to be an amazing pick for this week. Now if we move on to the Nintendo Switch 1 games for this week, and a game that should already be out by the time this video is live is Roadwarden, that released on August 25th and will be selling for $10.99. And this game describes itself as an illustrated text-based RPG that uses isometric pixel art and combines mechanics borrowed from RPGs, visual novels, adventure games, and interactive fiction such as inventory puzzles, dialogue choices, character abilities and progression, hit points, simple survival mechanics, or quests restricted by in-game time. Now, if that sounds like a mouthful and quite a mashup, I do agree. However, yet again, initial reviews are pointing very positively. And although the presentation is simplistic, the game is backed up by some truly beautiful pixel art and apparently a very enticing mix of gameplay. So I think if you're a fan of visual novel-style RPGs, this one is going to be an absolutely fantastic pickup at a pretty budget price point.
But I can't keep away every beast from the woods. I burn corpses.
Our next game, however, is one that we should be careful before picking up for this week, and that is Space Adventure Cobra, that is releasing on August 26th and will be selling for $39.99. Now in this game, you are supposed to be playing as Cobra the Space Pirate in an action platformer, along with Lady Armoroid, your loyal partner, and equipped with your iconic Psycho Gun. You must solve a mystery that could threaten the entire universe. Now, although the pixel art and gameplay for this one actually look pretty enticing, the reason why I say we should watch out before dropping the cash here is that number one, the game is being released by Microids, that sometimes has some quality issues with their releases. Some of their games come out in great shape, others not so much, and they rarely get patched later on. Secondly, initial reviews for this one are rather lackluster, between 6 and 7s. And especially for a game at a $40 price point, I would be expecting more. So maybe check out a few reviews and possibly some gameplay before picking this one up. Now for our next game, we're moving over to August 27th, and this is one of my long shots for the week with Sumorbit that will be releasing at a super budget price point of $7.99. Now when I saw the trailer for this one, I was immediately interested, and when I read the description, I was pretty much convinced that I have to try it. It describes itself as planets that need to sumo wrestle on a variety of maps with hazards like black holes and wormholes. It promises easy to pick up gameplay for casual players, yet depth for competitive players. And it's offering a variety of gameplay modes like local multiplayer for up to 8 players, a single player campaign, team battles, single player versus AI, as well as a tutorial and practice mode. This honestly just feels like a great fun arcade style game, and I'm really hoping that the gameplay holds up. So I think if you're looking for a budget game to take a chance on for this week, this one just might be a really fun one. Our next game is going to be one of the bigger Switch 1 releases for this week, with Super Robot Wars Y releasing August 28th and selling for $59.99 for the base version. Now this game is a grid-based tactical combat RPG that brings units and pilots from a variety of anime together to battle their mutual foes. You'll need to place your units strategically and command them to defeat your enemies. Now this game pulls from a ton of really popular anime. Just to name a few, we have Mobile Suit Gundam, Macross, Godzilla, Getter RoboArc, and way more. Once again, this is a pretty long-running series, especially in Japan. However, in the West, we've only got a couple of entries. And I can definitely say that if you're a fan of these animes, the gameplay is really fun, especially if you like mech-based strategy combat. The one thing, however, that I really don't like about this release is how they're trying to sell you a deluxe and ultimate edition of the game as well, that can go up to a price of $119.99. And if the additional DLC was just cosmetic upgrades or a few unlockable characters that were reserved to the DLC, I wouldn't be too annoyed. But there's whole mission packs that are reserved within this DLC, and the price just is way too high to pick all of it up. So I would definitely say, unless you're a huge fan of the series, wait for a sale on this one so you can actually pick up those ultimate editions at a huge discount. And Bandai Namco, stop trying to gouge your fans. Oh, and lastly, there's also a demo up on the eShop if you do want to try this one out. Our next game is another budget long shot for this week with Karate Survivor that's also releasing on August 28th and will be selling for only $5.99. Now this game describes itself as stepping into the shoes of a martial arts master in a thrilling survivor-like roguelite inspired by the action movies of the 80s. You'll need to use the environment and improvised weapons to master new techniques and create devastating combos to fight off relentless goons and bandits. Now, since we live in a world where almost every week a new game is trying to be the next Vampire Survivor, this one at least is really trying to do something different. And I'd be really interested in trying it out to see if it can really break the mold. Well, the good news is I do have a review key for this one, and I will be trying it out later in the week, and most likely if you show up to the stream on Friday, I'll let you know how the game plays out. Now next, we have what is for me the biggest release of the week, with Shinobi Art of Vengeance hitting the eShop on August 29th and will be selling for $29.99. So this is truly the return of the iconic Shinobi in an all-new 2D action platformer with a unique hand-drawn look created by the team behind the hit brawler Streets of Rage 4. And personally, I'm a huge fan of the franchise. I grew up as a Sega kid and I loved playing it on my Sega Genesis. Not only that, but I have a full playthrough of the demo on the channel if you do want to check out some gameplay. But everything is pointing to this game being an absolutely stellar release that is really a revival of the series. And if you're a fan of 2D action platformers, this one is most likely going to be a must-play game for this week. And I'm really loving the price point here of $29.99, which really feels fair for this quality of game releasing from an iconic franchise. Either way, this is definitely the game we'll be playing on Friday, and if you want to try it out for yourself, that demo is still up on the eShop. Now to wrap up today's list, we have probably one of the weirdest games I've seen in a while, with Bad Cheese releasing on September 1st and selling for $12.99. Now this game describes itself as stepping into the tiny paws of a mouse spending the weekend at home with a dysfunctional dad while mom's away. You'll need to be on your best behavior to keep daddy happy. You'll need to complete tasks, eat snacks, find toys, and navigate the complicated family dynamic. You'll also experience the gruesome reality of a child mouse trying to maintain a sense of normalcy in a not-so-normal household. And every family has a corpse in the closet, and in this house, there are many closets. So what has me most interested about this one is the absolutely fantastic black and white art style, with a main character that's obviously a weird inspiration of Mickey Mouse. Now this game could be good, it could be terrible, but it definitely has me curious. Now, I definitely think you should wait for a review before picking this one up, but who knows, it might just be a hidden gem. That's pretty much it for this week. Let me know in the comments down below, what is your favorite game releasing this week? And did I maybe miss out on any releases that you're excited for? And don't forget, on the way out, if you haven't already, to hit that like button, subscribe if you aren't already, and as usual, I'll see you in my next video.